Congratulations on finishing your course. That was some hard work. Now what do I do with it? Is there anyone that will house my course and help me sell it? What if I can get an entire team to help me sell my course that I worked so hard on? Have I got a discovery for you? The Great Discovery not only has a place for your course, but a network of affiliates that are eager to sell your hard-earned course creation. Want to make a little more money so you can build your course or invest in yourself? Opportunities for all this and more await you at The Great Discovery, or go to tuepodcast.net/discovery for more information. Once again, that's tuepodcast.net/discovery for more information about how to join The Great Discovery now. This is an Undiscovered Legacy production.
I remember growing up, her and also my mom, they both had this entrepreneurial spirit and they both had businesses. My mom had a 9-to-5 job, but she also had a side hustle. And funnily enough, while she had that 9-to-5, her side hustle was making way more money than her 9-to-5. But she was doing the 9-to-5 out of security because she got us as her kids back then. And she really got that kind of courage and drive because of my grandmother. She raised 5 kids, basically my mom and her siblings, and she was doing it all alone. That was like a big thing when that happened.
Are you ready to unlock your entrepreneur potential? Are you ready to break free from all the barriers holding you back? Then you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Undiscovered Entrepreneur, your first step in getting across the start line. I'm your host and guide, Scoob, and I'm here with one mission: to help you overcome the obstacles standing between you and the start of your adventure. Whether you're dreaming of launching a startup, creating the next big app, or turning your passion into a thriving business, this podcast is your launchpad. Together we'll navigate the challenges, overcome hidden boundaries that stop us from starting, and learn how to overcome them with the help of others, experience them right along with you. So are you ready to take that crucial step to transform from aspiring to inspiring? Then let's get across that start line together, right here, right now, on the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. Hello, Scoob believers, and welcome to episode number 85 of the Undiscovered Entrepreneur, and it's me, Scoob, coming at you whatever device you happen to be listening on. All right, today's episode is going to be awesome, but before we get into the episode, I just want to give you a quick reminder about October 22nd at 4 p.m. Central Time, where I'm going to be talking on my very first stage. Make sure you keep an eye out for the invites, so you could join me in learning something maybe new, something a little bit different that will make a big difference in your life. All right, so today we are talking to Argie. Now, Argie is a friend of mine that I actually met on Facebook, and they just had a fantastic story about their entrepreneur adventure and where they came from. I'm so excited to have you to listen to this story. He went from being an immigrant teenager to successful entrepreneur. Argie's journey from the Philippines to the U.S. Navy, and how his grandmother's tragic passing ignited his entrepreneurial adventure, and how it really made a big difference in driving him forward and what she actually meant to him. We talk about overcoming introversion to build a thriving digital marketing agency, discover how Argie conquered their fear of talking to people and learning to delegate, transforming from a solo freelancer to a business owner with an international impact. So ladies and gentlemen, let's listen to Argie. Salutations, Scoob believers, and we are here again on the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. Get across the start line. And today we're talking to a new entrepreneur. We're talking to Argie. Hey Argie, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going? I'm
Fantastic.
Doing well. How are you?
Great. Thanks so much for being on the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. I really super appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me here.
All right. So before we go any further, I want to give you kind of a little semi-serious question to ask. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, here we go. Are you a Scoob believer?
Heck yeah.
All right. Thank you, Argie, for being a Scoob believer. I super appreciate you. All right. So, Argie, tell me a little bit about how you got across the start line in your entrepreneur adventure, what it is, and give me all the good juicy stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. But before we start with that, I want to introduce myself to kind of like show the now versus the then. But basically, my name is Argie Anzon, active duty Navy sailor. I'm also doing investing and also a business owner on the side. On the side, we have a digital marketing agency and also a dog boarding business. And basically, like this didn't happen overnight. It definitely took a lot of years, a lot of failures, a lot of mistakes. But basically, when I got started, I'm pretty much an immigrant, right? I'm born and raised in the Philippines, and then before I turned 18, on my before I turned on my 18th birthday, my parents basically decided to bring us to the United States. And like as a teenager, I was angry about it because all of my friends were in the Philippines and what have you, like typical teenager stuff. But looking back now, I'm very, very grateful that it happened because America, it just gives you so much opportunities compared to if you was living in a third world country. And really like I started with all of this stuff like digital marketing per se as a freelancer. And I remember starting this, I was still in college and I was just trying to find a way to find an outlet to explore my entrepreneurial dream. And I didn't have an agency back then. And basically, I was utilizing marketplace networks, kind of like Upwork, Fiverr, and all that stuff to pretty much provide customers a productized service, aka a service that's already packaged like as a product. That way, the deliverables are pretty much the same, and they just pay me dollars in exchange for my time.
Fantastic. Especially you coming from the Philippines into the U.S., I'm really interested in how you actually got into digital marketing. You just say, I got into digital marketing, but what was the catalyst that really got you into digital marketing?
Yeah, definitely. Happy to answer that. So it was really like I was already in the U.S. Navy, and during this time I was attached on a ship. And when I was on the ship, we were out there in the ocean, out of nowhere, and then we were deployed. And then I got an email, and this because when you're out to sea, you barely get internet connection. So the best way to reach out anybody who's serving in a US Navy, if they're out to sea, the best way is email, right? Even up till now. And anyway, I got a message from my aunt, and she basically said, "Okay, don't get surprised or anything like that, but your grandmother just passed away."
Mm.
And I'm like, "Whoa, is this like a spam email?" That was like my first thing, because like having a technological background, that was my thought process. I was like, "Is this a scam?" And then I was like, "What are you talking about?" Responded an email. And then she pretty much explained that like my grandmom who passed away, who also raised us when we were kids, pretty much got hit and run.
Mm.
And that was like a fatal accident. And she unfortunately did not survive that. Um, and I remember growing up, her and also my mom, they both had this entrepreneurial spirit and they both had businesses. My mom had a 9 to 5 job, but she also had a side hustle. And funnily enough, while she had that 9 to 5, her side hustle was making way more money than her 9 to 5. But she was doing the 9 to 5 out of security because she got us as her kids back then. And she really got that kind of courage and drive because of my grandmother. She raised 5 kids, basically my mom and her siblings. And she was doing it all alone. That was like a big thing when that happened. I was crying. I was crying really bad and all that stuff. And pretty much I just remember she may have passed away. I could say that she passed away feeling fulfilled because she went after her dreams and all that stuff. So that was basically the driving factor for me to start my digital marketing agency. Because while I was in the Navy, yeah, there's job security and all that stuff, but also the entrepreneurship and like tech in general are like my two main thing that I'm like I really have a passion about. So I was like, hey, like over the years, I've built skills. Even though I'm already in the Navy, I still studied, learned from like a bunch of like entrepreneurs out there, YouTube videos, courses, mentorship, and all that stuff. And I was like, "Look, I've been doing this on the side, not as an agency, but what's stopping me to do that?" So that was really like why I started.
That's fantastic. It's amazing how we can have these different experiences in our lifetimes and we get touched by so many different people that it builds up inside of us. And then when we get to a point where, okay, we got to do this because this is just the way it is. What's funny is my father was in the Army, and he was a printer in the Army, and he had the entrepreneur bug like the entire time he was dad. It's so he was a printer, and then when he finished his term in the Army, he went right into working for a newspaper, which obviously printing. And he worked there for a while, but after he retired from that, he went into making like T-shirts and all kinds of screen printing and things like that. And he started getting business all local around him, to the point where all the local schools were wanting his shirts for like sports teams and things like that. And then I picked up on that too. I ended up a car salesman for over 16 years. I sold all kinds of different things, anything from water filtration systems, vacuum cleaners, cell phones, long distance service. And the vacuum cleaners I did door to door. I had all different types of sales experience. And now it's all come down to what we're doing here right now. So I love the fact that we both had, even though we're different fields, I guess, I don't know, we still have that entrepreneur bug in us.
Definitely.
When you were first getting started, getting across the start line, as I like to say it, was there anything that kind of stopped you from getting across the start line? Was there a certain emotion or feeling that was like holding you back from getting started?
Yeah, definitely. I'm a natural introvert. I'm sure you can tell. I'm not really good at speaking all this stuff. But basically, that was like one of my biggest fears, right? Because like I'm very introverted. It's not like I don't like to talk. Maybe I don't, but but it's more of I'd rather keep it to myself than to talk to other people. And that was one of the main things. I was like, oh my God, how can I become a digital marketing agency, or how can I build one if I can't even talk to people? Because obviously at the end of the day, if you want to build a business and if you want to stay in business, you need to have sales. And I'm not really good with sales back then and all that stuff. And that was like my biggest thing. And then I've always been the one who was like doing things, because like I started as a freelancer. So I'm very used to doing the thing. And I really had to get out of that kind of mindset that like I need to be able to learn how to delegate and to essentially utilize other people's skills and expertise and talent. That way I can scale. Like it was more of trying to get out of my shell so that I don't, and like in a way that still feels authentic to me, and in a way that doesn't make me feel anxious.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me how even though somebody could be introverted, they still have a lot of capabilities and a lot of just awesome passions that they can get into. Really, being an introvert, it can be stifling at sometimes, but if you have the right people around you, it's at the right time, they can help you counterbalance that too. The guy that I follow, Pat Flynn, I talk about Pat Flynn all the time. He's an introvert, but he's been doing this for over 15 years. And he's been on stage and he does the podcast and everything else. But he always talks about when he's done, he goes into his room and kind of huddles in there and recuperates because it's not really in his comfort zone to be out and about and talking to different people too. But it's the only way that we can actually make progress is to get out of that comfort zone and start learning how to talk to people. And then after we're done doing what we can do, then it's okay to lean back a little bit and recuperate from being able to talk to people.
I love that. That's what I do.
What do you do to recuperate? You get out there a little bit now, right? From before,
Yeah,
compared to
definitely.
before.
Oh yeah. It's the same. Probably not as dramatic as doing that, but just kind of like getting into, for example, like our bedroom and just be like, just basically chilling there and all this stuff. Just to kind of like kind of, I guess, kind of like shaking off that extroverted energy or talking to people kind of energy, and just being like, oh my God, I just want to be on my little safe space kind of thing.
Yeah. It's funny for me because if you couldn't tell already, like a huge extrovert. So I got to be out there. If I'm by
Oh, wow.
myself in a room, I get nervous. It's so
Really?
weird how I'll start imagining people around me because I want people around me so much. If I get into, there was a time that I worked at a Walmart and it was overnight stocking and there was nobody around me at all. And that was so uncomfortable for me, not having somebody to talk to and kid around with and stuff. I wasn't there very long because I couldn't handle it much longer. But
Oh
I,
wow.
I think the important thing in here is to have people that counterbalance what you can't accomplish. So before we started recording, you said that somebody else was the face of the company.
Yeah,
Now, who is that?
that's my wife.
Are you allowed to say her name? I don't know. I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah, Maria.
Okay.
Yeah,
So she did.
very generic name.
That's okay. I know a lot of Marias. Okay, so like she counterbalances what you do. So she's more of an extrovert than you
Yeah.
are introvert and that kind of thing. And it's nice to be able to have someone that you can lean on when it comes to something like that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What do you find is stops other entrepreneurs from getting across the start line? There's a lot of other ones, but in your experiences, especially coming from like the Navy and that kind of thing, what have you noticed that stops people from getting across the start line?
For me, it would be two things. One is overthinking, because you think too much into the future, that if you just get started today, you would already have the answers. Instead of you guessing what the answer is, just do it. And like the other thing is definitely analysis paralysis, where like you learn this thing and then you start going deeper. And instead of you going deeper and then taking action, you go from going deeper to going deeper to going deeper to learning about this, that, and you just keep going and going and going without applying it or without really starting. So you just keep going into that like learning learning flow, but there's really no action. And it's just as worse as you not starting. You know,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, what you learn is just all theory, but at the end of the day, like the best way to learn is to actually experience things.
Yeah, and that goes right into one of my pillars, perfectionism.
Mm.
We're waiting for that perfect moment to be able to execute what we have, but until we do that, we're not doing anything. So we're waiting for that perfect time for everything to go. And I want to make sure I know all the information so everything turns out right the first time, so it's perfect. But you realize, especially me, you realize that you're wasting time more than anything else, not executing exactly what you need to execute at that specific time. Instead of just overthinking and waiting and learning and waiting and learning, waiting and learning, I do on-time learning, which means I learn something when I need to learn it, and then I execute it. And then as I go along, oh, now I need to learn this. So I'm going to go learn this. And now that I know that, I can execute and keep moving forward on my entrepreneurial adventure. And you also say something really important, too, is doing things now, doing things today. And that actually goes straight into my tagline: I can, I am, I will, and I'm doing it today. It's very important that we actually get moving on something, even if it's just you reading a book, even if it's just taking 10 minutes to watch something on YouTube University. That's what we call that. Anything along those lines to move forward now instead of waiting. And I like saying that my son, when he was 6, he actually said that to me: I can, I am, I will, I'm doing it today. I always give that.
I love that.
Right. He's going to be turning 18 next month. So but we still keep that around the house. That's really close to our heart, that thing, because that's what's pulling through high school. He's in college now. He graduated 6 months early from high school so he can go into college to do culinary.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, he's a very interesting kid. I got to tell you, I don't know. He didn't get it from me, that's for sure, and he probably got it from mom. You've been doing this how long for the digital marketing altogether?
Since the agency part, since 2017, freelancing, and like I made my first website back in 2008. So a long time.
So from 2017 to now, do you have any pitfalls or problems that you came across, but you're proud that you had that like failure? If I'm glad I had that failure because now I'm able to do this. You ever had experience anything like that?
Yeah, I think it's all more so about the mindset part of, because like I like looking back, I thought mindset was just all woohoo voodoo things, blah blah blah, and I thought it was just like all right, this is just things that people say, especially like growing up in the Philippines, especially for example, like mental health stuff. If you talk about that in the Philippines back then, I don't know about now. I haven't been back to the Philippines, but back then, if you're saying, "Oh, I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling anxious," and all that stuff, people will just laugh at you straight up. And that's not because they're trying to be insulting, but it's the fact that there's not enough education around it. So before, when I think about like mindset, I like connect it with like mental health stuff. There's, oh my God, like this is just some BS. But I think for like the biggest thing was like self-limiting beliefs. Like I had where it's like, can I do this? Like something like, why would people buy from me? Something like that. And then I guess like the way I've overcome it was like I started looking at the competition around me. Because at first, like I was trying to act like I'm already big when I'm not, right? Because you start from somewhere. And what I mean by that is like when I started my own digital marketing agency, I've always thought that I had to have a front office. I've had to have staff, like just the traditional way of doing business. And then and I started looking around and I remember I was like, this is not realistic. And started looking around the marketplace, competition, what have you. And I remember I don't remember the name of the guy, but I remember seeing his stuff and he was like getting people interested with his things. And it's like literally the same things we offer. Like he creates website, I can create website. He creates funnels, I can create funnels. Easy stuff. To me, that's easy. And I was like, wow, like how did this guy do this? But I see the products that he produced and it's nothing crazy. And it's not really just to say I'm better, but it's more of I think we can produce better than this. But then I realized that's when I realized that it's not really all about you and your self-limiting beliefs and just really just get out there and try to like help people create relationships, engage with them and all that stuff. Because if you don't get yourself out there, you're always going to have that kind of self-limiting belief and it's all really inside your brain. So if you just get out of your brain and just start doing things, like a lot of things can happen. And a lot of it are positive more than negative thoughts that you have in your head.
Fantastic explanation. That's really what it's all about too. Mindset is so different than what most people think it is. Yeah, especially when I first started out, I thought it was a little woo-woo myself too, to be honest with you. But the more books I read and the more people that I talked to, I realized that having a positive mindset is really something that is accomplishable, that changes everything about you and your
It's
life.
huge. It's huge.
You wouldn't even known who I was about 4 or 5 years ago. Whole different person. Very,
Wow.
very negative, very selfish and that kind of thing. But once I really got into podcasting and my communication changed and my wordings changed and then my thoughts followed right behind it, it was all about what was up here. And then
Yeah.
helping other people, that is the biggest thing. What we do is not for ourselves. What we do is for other people that are out there that need our help, need our expertise to be able to move on to whatever they need to accomplish. And once we help them, hopefully at one point or another, they help us back, whether it be monetary, whether it be being able to contact somebody that might be monetary later on. It's all an exchange.
Yeah.
But money ends up just being the byproduct of how well we help other people. And that's really what it turns out to. It sounds like a lot of what you experienced was actually imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Because you
It
say
really is.
a lot of what you said was a lot of the key words that define imposter syndrome. Who am I to do this? Why can't I be like him? Why don't I have a big group of people that's working underneath me? I can't do anything until I have a bunch of people working underneath me. But how do I get to that point? So it just is like you finally came to the realization that you can do things because you're who you are. You have your own mindset. You have your own ways to be able to accomplish things. And then people will follow you for you.
Yeah. Definitely.
So that's great. That's amazing. We're going to look at the other side of this now. So I'd like to know, in your vast world that you're in, maybe one or two of your greatest accomplishments that you've had up to this point?
I think honestly for me, it's about being able to help, like hiring wise and client wise. Because a lot of the businesses that we help, I call them small business, but really if I really had to dig in deeper, like the background of all these people pretty much are like military people, veterans, active duty and all that stuff. And if they're not the veterans, if they're not the active duty people, they're somehow connected to a close family member, they're veterans or active duty. And I think the biggest accomplishment for me is kind of like what we did with like my wife, for example. Like she was able to quit her 9 to 5 job and to just basically full transition to become a business owner. And I'm not really trying to credit myself on like other people's accomplishment, but based on what I've got, I've like the feedback that I've gotten from like our clients, and these are like clients that have been with us since the pretty much start back in 2017. So we really focus on like building this kind of like long-term relationships. And a lot of the feedback that we get is if they didn't start working with us, they probably wouldn't be where they're at. And we're not crazy about charging crazy amounts of money because to me, when I started, it was just all a side hustle. Plus, it was just all about trying to help because I see a lot of like marketers out there that does the selling, 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 but there's not much on the delivery portion. And to me, delivery is important. And maybe that's just because maybe that's just how I'm raised or something, or just my introvert side. I'd rather do the work, I'd rather deliver than sell kind of thing. I don't know. But I think that's one because I actually have a more recent client. We started working about, I don't know, a year ago or so. And when she started, she was working for another company. And she's now basically in the process of quitting that 9 to 5 job. And now she's transitioning to becoming her own full-time business. And like she's basically working with another coach, but even like her coach was saying, like you found the right team to help you with all of this because she didn't have systems, she didn't have processes, she didn't have all this SOPs, operations, and like we just kind of like integrated that for her. That way she can get started and just be focused on being the face of the business. And that's number one. And I think number two, because like I outsource, especially I get a lot of my talents from either India, Pakistan, or the Philippines. I think like really just helping those people get those jobs because like when you pay them US dollars, that is a big, big, big differentiating factor compared to them getting hired locally. And it changes not only their lives, but people that they're responsible for. And because if you get a job, for example, in the Philippines, you might get, I don't know, probably like 30,000 pesos. And 30,000 pesos is only 600 bucks. Not very big money. And if you're trying to support your kids through high school, college, or whatnot, trying to support your family in general, that's really not going to go too far. But because we're able to get clients here in the United States and I just outsource, I'm able to one, get talent for, I guess, like a more affordable rate, but also number two, I get to help them. And with that, I'm able to hire more and hire faster and achieve more faster. I'm just really happy about that. And I think that those are like my two biggest wins.
That's fantastic. Yeah, you make a good point too. You're not just touching one life. No matter what you're doing, you're not just touching one life, but you're touching the lives of the people that, let's see, how could I explain this better? You're not just touching the life of the one person. You're touching the lives of the one person and the people that are associated with that one person. Their kids, their family, their grandma, grandpa, whatever it is that they're responsible for. You're touching their lives too, even if it's indirectly. And that's, you make a good point about being outsourcing, that kind of thing too. But you're also touching the lives of your client, like you were talking about just a minute ago, and then helping her family too at the same time because you're
Yeah.
helping her succeed. And that's just how we change the world. It's just one person at a time, and it just spreads from there. So
Exactly.
you make a great point. All right. If you were to give advice to an entrepreneur that's just getting started, what do you think that piece of advice would be?
When I get asked this question, my answer used to be just start. And I think that's a really good advice because a lot of people get stuck with thinking and not doing. But I think now, if answering that question, I think start, but stay committed to the point where even when you struggle, even when you have bad days after bad days, don't quit. Because when you quit, you're quitting on yourself. And when you quit on yourself, you're not gonna have that confidence back for a very long time because you tried this entrepreneurship thing but didn't win at it. And if you quit, you're not gonna see the wins later on because not everything happens fast. And I'm sure you can relate to this, like with your entrepreneurship journey. Like you didn't get your first, let's just say 100K, 1 million within a day. So what? Even if you have a job, like you didn't get to the higher position or like the higher pay scale, you had to invest time, energy, skill set, expertise on it before you got there. So to me, it's all about not quitting when you start. So that way you feel that win eventually.
Exactly. What we do is not the short game. It's
No,
never the
not at
short game.
all.
It's always a long game. And a lot of people think that when you're an entrepreneur, it's a short game. It's going to happen. It's going to happen in 6 months. It's going to happen. No, it's
No.
just like any other thing where if you're in a company, it takes you years to be able to move up into that ladder. It's very similar to entrepreneurship, but it's not so much of climbing a ladder. It's a learning curve because we have to figure out what we're really good at. And then what we're really good at, we have to learn more about what we're really good at so we can have those experiences and move on to the next level, move on to the next thing, get to that point. But it's not going to be an overnight thing. It's not even going to be a year thing. I'm on year three right now. I still feel like I just got started. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I've learned so much up to this point. I'm hoping that it'll keep going. And I want to do this until I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to do this until I fall over. You know, I'll be that 85-year-old guy going, and then I learned how to do this. But yeah, I really hope to do this for a really long time because I'm having such a blast doing it. And I hope you enjoy
Yeah,
what you're doing
definitely.
too.
I love it.
Good, good. All right. What I like to do here with all my guests is in 6 months, I'd like to get a 6 month goal from you. So where do you see you and your company in the next 6 months?
I I guess like my 6 month goal is to, I don't know, hire two more people, expand the staff, and get to additional 10K a month for me.
Okay, so here's what I like to do with you, RG. It's like in 6 months, I want to actually have another interview with you
Let's do it.
and see if you've actually hired two more people and got to 10K. Is that okay?
Oh hell yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. Now you're not just accountable to me, you're accountable to all my Scoob believers out there, okay?
I love it. I love it.
All
It's a
right.
community.
That's right. That's the way to do it. All right. So, what I'd like to do here now is give you a chance. It's your time to shine here. I want you to advertise yourself. How do we get a hold of you and all that good stuff? Okay. Ready, set, go.
Yeah, so definitely we offer a free deep dive consultation. Basically, what that means is definitely a pitch fest where we just pretty much sell you our products and services. Definitely not that. The guarantee is basically if you go to enzonmedia.com, ENZON media.com, book a free audit with us. And I guarantee you that by the end of the call, you will get at least 1 to 2 actionable tips that you can apply in your business right away. That way, you're not feeling like we wasted your time and all that stuff. And we just really want to help. And if we move forward working together, great. If not, at least we were able to help.
All right. Fantastic. RG, thank you so much for being on the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. Get across the start line. I really appreciate you taking your time and thank you so much for everything.
Thank you so much.
All right. All right, Scoob Believers, make sure you stay tuned for the wrap up. Okay, everybody, have a good evening. Bye bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Argie. What a fantastic interview. I had a great time being able to talk to them and just so much impactful stories. I'm so glad I was able to meet Argie. And, something really came up for me in a lot of this. And embracing adversity with the catalyst for growth. Argie's story shows how life changes, like immigrating to a new country or losing a loved one, can fuel your entrepreneurial drive and lead to unexpected opportunities. You never know where it's going to take you. And it's what happens with these opportunities that come across, good or bad. Good times or bad times, what we do with those things makes us who we are. Whether we take them for a positive thing or a negative thing, it's what we do inside our hearts and inside our heads with these things that make us who we are as humans, that make us who we are as people, and push beyond the comfort zone to unlock your potential. Despite being an introvert, Argie learned to overcome his self-limiting beliefs and build a successful digital marketing agency, providing that personal growth often lies just outside of our comfort zone. So when we feel uncomfortable, it probably means we're in the right place. We got to get out of that comfort zone if we're going to move ahead. We can't always be stuck in that little corner, that little warm, fuzzy place. We have to push forward with things that we're not sure about. And then when we do that, we realize we can actually get new things done, accomplish new things, move on to greater things, things that are next level. But it all starts with you getting out of that comfort zone. And with that, I'll say thank you very much for another fantastic episode of the Undiscovered Entrepreneur Get Across the Start Line. And I will see you next week. And there you have it, future entrepreneurs. We've taken another step towards our journey to get across that start line. Remember, every great business starts with a single idea and the courage to pursue it. You've already shown that courage by joining us here today. As we wrap up this episode of The Undiscovered Entrepreneur, I want to remind you that the start line isn't as far away as you might think. With each bit of knowledge you gain, each fear you face, you're getting closer to launching your dream. Until our next episode together, keep pushing, keep dreaming, and most importantly, keep taking those steps across the start line. They'll all add up to big strides in your entrepreneurial adventure. This is Scoob, your guide across the start line. Remember, your future is waiting. I can, I am, I will, and I'm doing it today. Do you find yourself faltering when speaking in public? You definitely know what you're talking about, but you just can't seem to get over the horrific fear, and imagining people in their underwear is just not working. Whether you're gearing up for a big presentation or just looking to improve your daily communications, Leslie Fiorenzo is your go-to resource for mastering self-promotion, facing your audience fearlessly, and communicating with authority. Don't miss out on your opportunity to elevate your game. Contact Leslie Fiorenzo now or go to tuepodcast.net/speak to step into the spotlight with confidence. Your adventure in public speaking mastery starts here and now. Don't wait to get your voice heard. Book your free consultation at tuepodcast.net/speak to start your adventure in speaking excellence today.